In today's video, I'm going to talk about questions that other foreigners ask me when they find out I'm married to a Korean. Number one, in-laws. I love my in-laws. They are great people, but they're Korean and I'm American, and we have cultural differences that sometimes don't match well. So sometimes I have a hard time, and I'm sure they do too. I'm sure it's not easy for them having a foreigner for a daughter-in-law. Yeah, that's hard. But hard is not always bad. Sometimes it's good to do things that are hard and difficult. It makes us stronger people, it builds us up, and teaches us things that we would never been able to learn any other way. The second hardest thing about being married to a Korean is that whether we live in Korea or we live in America, somebody's going to be separated from their family, and so that's really hard. I think the best part of being married to a Korean is kind of the same as the most difficult part of being married to a Korean. It's that I have family, and it's nice to have family here. My husband's family is my family now, and my husband is my family, so it's a lot less lonely. Well, the first year, everyone will tell you, is the hardest. In our case, I think the first year was the hardest because we were learning to communicate in that first year. Actually, we're still learning to communicate, but we probably do a lot better now than we did during that first year. Learning to communicate, and I think that's not only with international marriages or marriages between people from two different languages, but also between two people who speak the same language. I'm sure they have the same problems, because men and women are different. I'm sorry if you're a feminist, but it's true. Women and men are not the same, and we communicate differently. Now, I think the advantage that Junseok and I had was that we were expecting to have those sorts of conflicts because we don't speak the same language. Communication problems are not only language-based, there's also cultural communication problems. Here's the perfect example. In Korea, it's rude to make eye contact when you're in trouble. Like if your teacher were scolding you, you would never look at them in their eyes. But like in the West, whenever mom was mad at me, what does she always say? Look at me when I'm talking to you. We have to make eye contact in the West, especially like where I'm from in America, because it's polite. It shows that I am listening to you and that I care about what you're saying, and that I'm actually making an effort to understand you. But in Korea, I guess it has a feeling of superiority. If you make direct eye contact, it's kind of like, I'm better than you. Even though I know that that's a difference now, I still have trouble with this, and I get frustrated because he won't look at me when I'm talking to him. And actually, he's just being respectful, but I can't understand it because it's different in my culture. This video would be entirely too long if I talked about everything that I have learned. I'm just going to tell you 3. 1, I have learned to trust, especially as women. Like, we tend to read into things a lot, and when men say something, they mean it. Even when I am not sure how the outcome is going to be, even if it doesn't turn out the way that I want, my husband has my best interest in mind. So I've learned, and I'm still learning, to trust my husband. And the second thing is never jump to conclusions. I'm always doing this, and I need to stop it. I'm always jumping to conclusions. Here's the third one. Number 3 is to be less selfish. Before I was married, I lived alone, and I had to buy and cook my own food, pay for my own rent. I was working my own job, going to school, making my schedule. Everything was about me. Being married let me know that everything should not be just about me. I'm going to give you 3 do's and 3 don'ts. I like 3. Don't live with your in-laws. Do call your in-laws and talk to them often and visit them very often. That's good. Just don't live in the same house. Don't assume your husband understands you, because a lot of times he doesn't know what you're thinking, and you have to tell him what you're thinking. Do trust his judgment. Sometimes I want to do things my way because my way just seems so much more logical and just easier. It doesn't hurt anything to do it a less direct way. Don't expect a fairy tale. Marriage is not a fairy tale, and whatever you learned, from Walt Disney is not true. But do compliment and encourage him whenever you can. So yeah, that was just me answering a lot of questions that other foreigners in Korea ask me when they find out I'm married to a Korean.